Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Foster, and today I present to you Freshman Success 101. And I'll be honest, I've been in education for 15 years, and I now have a freshman at home. So when I say I understand, I understand. But today, it's not about me. I just want to make sure that you leave here feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more informed, because I understand that the transition from middle school to high school is scary. High school's bigger. There's so many kids, but nonetheless, we want to make sure that we are able to support our kid. So, what can you expect today? Well, here's the thing: in the spirit of football, here's the game plan today. The first thing I'm going to do is provide you the foundation or the playbook. I have 6 plays that I can just guarantee that if your student does these 6 things, they will have a successful freshman year, and not only a successful freshman year, but also just a successful high school career. So you follow this playbook, these 6 plays, you'll be good to go. Then we're going to move down, and I just want to take a peek into the world. We're going to look at the world that they live in right now, and also the world that they are preparing for when they graduate high school. With that, we're going to touch on college ready and career ready and what all that stuff means. And then I'm going to get you guys out of here and we're going to talk about our part. So when I say our part, the parents, everything is on us. And then lastly, I'm going to leave everyone with what I call a success plan. So let's go ahead and get started because again, I want to make this video as short as possible, but at the same time, I want to make sure I cover everything because just a heads up, look, there's a lot of information and research says that you're going to forget 90% of what I say within a week anyway. But again, that still leaves me 10%. So that 10%, I want to make sure that it's really, really good. So the first part of this 10% that I want you to remember, and again, I'm talking about this playbook. And the playbook is real simple. If you can remember the word bright, then you have the playbook down packed. And before I explain or tell you what the bright playbook is, I want to give a little bit of history about myself so you can understand why a playbook is so important. So, when I was in college, I was fortunate enough to play college football, and I played at the University of Texas under Coach Mac Brown. And I also played 1 year with the Indianapolis Colts under Coach Dungy. And one of the first things you get as a player is a playbook. So, it doesn't matter if you're a freshman, it doesn't matter if you are a rookie. You're going to get a playbook. And that playbook is important because it is your roadmap to success. If you're on offense, it's going to show you how to score as many points as possible, where to be, all the situational things. It's the roadmap to everything. And then on defense, obviously I play defense. Our job is to stop them scoring points. But the point of having a playbook is to understand your role on the team and for everyone to understand the team's winning ways and all of our values. So the playbook is everything. A coach's job, a player's job is all on the line dependent on that playbook. So when you think of this playbook for freshman success, it's what are those things that we need to do to make sure we're successful. And I tried to make it as simple as possible. And again, if you can remember the word bright, you're going to be good to go. So, what is a playbook bright? It's real simple. It's behavior, it's relationships, involvement, grades, and time management. So, let's break this playbook down a little bit so we can make sure that we fully understand what exactly each play means. All right, first up is behavior. And when we talk about behavior, I'm not talking about just following the rules. I'm really talking about those behaviors that, in my eyes, they're free. They don't require you to be really good in math, or they don't require you to be a great writer for English, or you need to be a comprehension master. It's about those small things like showing up on time, participating in class, being respectful, those types of things. Those things go a long way. And I kind of pushed the wrong button here, but it's important because studies show that a student who demonstrates those positive behaviors that I just mentioned, like again, participating in class, showing up on time, being respectful, they are 60% more likely to achieve above average grades. And again, above average grades might not be your goal, but we know just bare minimum, just by showing up, participating that you can earn above average grades. And I think that's amazing because, again, that doesn't require me to, I didn't say after school tutoring or any of these other types of interventions, just simply doing those small things like showing up. All right, next, and parents, I know this is near and dear to us, is relationships. We know that all it takes is that one toxic relationship, whether it's with a teacher or another student, that can have a negative impact on grades, attendance. So we know that relationships are key. And again, I don't want to just focus on relationships with their peers, but also having those positive relationships with their teachers. And I'm not saying you have to like the teacher, but what's important is that they have those positive relationships that do bring that positive influence into their lives. So again, relationships is another key play in this playbook of success. Now, moving on, every player has a favorite play, and usually on offense it's that one trick play, the double reverse, double pass, something crazy that gets everyone excited. And honestly, this is not even in a trick play. Playbooks also have just those what we call bread and butter. We're going to start the game with this. We're going to finish the game with this. This is just what we're good at, and we're going to do it over and over. So if that's the play in this playbook, this is the play, and that's involvement. There's an old proverb that says an idle mind is a devil's playground, and that's very important because we want to make sure that our freshmen are involved in some of these positive activities. One thing about high school is that it's very, very busy, but there are a lot of organizations that students can join that aligns to whatever values and purposes or interests that they have. So it's going to be very, very important that a student is involved. And I have this kind of breaking news video here because really the breaking news is, when it's time to apply for those scholarships, it's time to apply for those colleges. I can promise you that there will be a point where you will have to answer, what organizations are you involved with? Colleges really want a well-rounded student. They do not just want an academic worry. They want to know you have other things besides your academics that are important to you. So again, being involved, that's the bread and butter play. It's the trick play. It's the play. You have to be involved. And again, it's on a parent side. For me, it's like if my son is busy and he has something else that is holding him accountable, like sports, it supports my notion of, hey, making sure that your grades are, your assignments and your grades are up, because again, he's held accountable to something that's bigger than him, like his sports teams or like his student organization. So just understand that involvement, I mean, it's the bread and butter. All right, now we're gonna move on to grades. Grades. We understand how important grades are, but your freshman year, I could have easily put grade point average. Your freshman year is all about establishing and great grade point average. Again, for the most part, the majority of students are going to be taking those basic level courses, those core classes. Again, making sure that those relationships are right with your teacher, those behaviors, you're involved. Your grades really do tend to take care of themselves, and it's always been said that grades are a reflection of your effort, and again, that's very true. Turning in your work, participating in class, your grades should truly take care of themselves. And I just can't emphasize how important grades are, especially here as a freshman, because again, you want to end your freshman year with a great GPA, because it's easier to start strong than start slow, and then that junior senior year you're fighting super hard to build that GPA back up. So again, it's going to be very, very important that we start strong with the grades. All right. Now, if there's one difficult play, it's going to be this play. This play requires some execution. It requires the support of others. And again, our playbook has built each play gets a little bit more difficult. And help is one of those things. And I think help is way more difficult when you don't have those positive relationships. You don't have those involvement. You don't have that involvement with the student organizations or things of that nature. Asking for help becomes a little bit more harder, but again, we have counselors. So again, asking for help is huge, but I also acknowledge that it's difficult. But it can be a little bit easier when, again, you're involved. And I keep going back to that involved because, again, remember, that's our bread and butter play. But again, asking for the help. And here's a side note as well. I'm not just talking to students. I'm talking to parents as well. We have to know when to reach out, when to ask questions and find information, because the more we know, the more informed and more supportive you can be for your child. So again, that help is going to be very, very important. And then lastly, we have time management. And this one's tough too. Again, this is that high level play. We can only we have to practice a lot on this play. And this is a skill. It's like a muscle, right? If you work it out, it gets stronger. But if you don't use it, you lose it. And again, I think that the important part of this playbook in general is understanding that high school, and especially your freshman year, is truly a balancing act. So, just for a little review, again, this is our freshman success playbook. It's 6 plays deep. But again, when you run these plays every day, you will have success. And again, that's behavior, relationships, involvement, grades, and time management. Okay. Whew. Now I know that was a lot, but again, we're gonna keep moving because hopefully I got your attention. You're still hanging on. I promise you, it's gonna line up real nice. So what I really want to do now is I want to explore the world that our freshmen live in, and honestly, we're living in it too. But they are going to, when they become adults, their world will just entirely be this, and they won't be like us, where I grew up with MySpace. So I know I probably aged myself a little bit, but again, all they're going to know is this digital world that they live in. Let's think about it. You know, Instagram, TikTok, they have over a billion monthly users, and we're saying active users. There's over 500 million tweets every single day. So we know that social media is a real part of their everyday life. It shapes the way they think. It shapes their decisions. It has huge influence. And again, so they live in this digital world, and in this digital world, we have jobs that are in demand today that barely existed 10 years ago. So you're talking about chat GPT developers. If you don't know what chat GPT is, ask your son or daughter. They will tell you all about it. We have jobs like there's some jobs on here not even listed, like a social media manager, right? We know that job didn't exist 10 years ago. You have a data scientist. We even have esports athlete. And then this is not, I didn't make this up. This is from a World Economic Forum jobs report last year. And again, esports, we can't tell our kids that playing video games is useless. There are entire careers for esports athletes. So again, this is more to just inform and show you that this digital world that they're living in and that they're preparing for is it changes very fast. And the reality is that our students are, they're preparing for a workforce that's constantly changing. And having skills is going to be even more important. And just food for thought, or think about this. By the time that they graduate, they will be stepping into careers and industries that don't exist yet, that require them to have skills that possibly don't exist yet. So it's, I think it's very important, as we take a step back and we look at the big picture. How can we make sure that we are informed enough so we can support our kids in the decisions that really, really are going to impact their future? Well, now what I want to do is I want to take a pivot, and I want to talk about college and career readiness. And right now, it's a hot topic. It's everything, in education is something that is very, very important to us. We are measured by it, by the state of Texas. So again, for us, when we hear college and career readiness, it is a huge accountability piece. But I really want to, take some time to make sure that at least on a surface level, parents or you guys understand what it means to be college ready and career ready. So you have an idea of what that looks like. Well, when we talk about college readiness, and again, we know this term gets thrown around a lot, but when we say college ready, we're really saying that your student has the skills and the knowledge to do well in college without extra work. Or I'm sorry, not extra work, but without extra help. Or in simple terms, when they go to college, they do not need remedial classes. That's important because if you have to take those remedial classes, that's going to cost you time and money when you go to college. So again, it is measured based on how well your student performs on those three tests: the SAT, the ACT, and the TSI. So these are three main ways that the state measures whether a kid is college ready. So for example, on the ACT, you need to score a 22 on math and a 40 on the English and reading test. So again, if your student scores at or above those numbers, then they are considered college ready and they would not need to take a remedial math class or a remedial English class. Let's look at SAT. If they score a 530 or above, or not or and a 480 and above on English, then they are considered college ready. Now, what happens if they do not score well on those tests? Well, they won't get punished. But again, when they apply to these colleges, they're looking at their SAT scores or their SAT or their TSI. They will determine whether or not they have to take those remedial classes. And again, what's so important about that? Again, we're talking about money and time. And the important part to understand is that they get the opportunities to take these tests while they are in high school. And here's the thing, don't panic. I know it can be like, oh God, like, more tests and this is just a lot. Well, here's the thing, as a freshman, you have time. Now, unless your child wants to do dual credit or they're in a collegiate academy program, then being college ready or what we consider TSI met, then it will become more important because they need to get those college ready numbers sooner rather than later so they can take those dual credit classes. Because again, dual credit is a college level course. So again, I don't want to go too deep in that, but again, I just want to remind parents, don't panic yet. There's still time. Now, on the other side of the coin, we have career ready. The important part about that is we or the state understands that it's not just about college readiness. Career readiness is important too, and it's going to be very, very important that our students have the skills to be successful. And I'm going to say skills with an emphasis because here later on you're going to understand why skills is very, very important. But so what does career ready mean? Simply put, it means that your student has the skills, the knowledge, and the training to step directly into a career after high school. And the primary way a student earns their career readiness marker is by earning a industry-based certification. And they typically or primarily earn that through their CTE program. So ask your student, what is their CTE pathway, and you'll be able to determine what IBC they could possibly earn at the end of that CTE pathway. So that's going to be very important information to know. And again, side note, don't panic. You might say, "Well, I don't even know what's CTE or what's the pathway." More videos will be coming out soon to be able to explain all that. But again, I don't want to boil the ocean today. But again, when you hear career ready, that means that your child has earned an industry-based certification, which is a credential that they can use. That basically says, I'm ready to work. So again, just to give you an example, students can earn an IBC in culinary, healthcare, technology, automotive repair, welding, and there's a bunch more. So just understand again that IBC it shows an employer that they have the skills to do that job and they are credentialed. Now that we talked about career ready, college ready, I really want you to understand how this all ties in. It's the bigger picture in Texas. Texas has this huge goal called the Texas 60 by 30 initiative, and primary focus really is to prepare students for the jobs of tomorrow. Remember, our students are preparing for jobs that don't necessarily exist yet, and they need to have skills that would allow them to be, competitive in these jobs that don't exist yet. So again, Texas has this huge goal that by 2030, that 60% of young adults, and that age is 24 to 34, and that doesn't count our freshmen this year. But the important part is to understand that they want 60% of young adults to hold some type of credential, because by 2036, 70% of the jobs will require some type of post-secondary credential. And when you hear post-secondary credentials, you are thinking, a 2-year associate's degree, a bachelor's and master's, which those are what you usually earn when you go the college route, but also any type of certificate. Like we just said with the industry-based certification, those are what we consider post-secondary credentials. So our students can leave high school or graduate high school with an IBC, or even a associate's degree, and they are considered career ready and college ready. So again, Texas understands that as we have more and more companies and industries move to Texas, we need to have a workforce that can support those. And also, Texas being the capitalistic state that we are, they also want to make sure that it's native Texans who are getting these jobs, because as companies move, so do other people from other states move in. So we want to make sure that our students are able to compete in this workforce that will have people from all over competing from these jobs. So again, that's just more of a kind of understand why all this stuff is important, and why, it's going to be important for schools to make sure that our kids are career ready and college ready. All right, here's another wrinkle. As industries are looking for those credentials, they're also starting to favor what we call skill-based hiring. So what is that? That means that, quite frankly, not only are 70% of the jobs requiring a credential, they're also going to look at the skills. Or even quite possibly, they might say, hey, you might not have the a master's degree or bachelor's degree that we typically wanted, but do you have the skill? And if you have the skills, then yes, we will hire you. So when you start thinking of those industry-based certifications, but you might not have the experience, but you have the skill, this becomes very, very important. And it actually, again, it supports, a lot of our students who, they might not be able to obtain the 4-year college because it's too expensive. But what they did do is they earned their IBC in high school. They went to a 2-year college, and skills stacked on top of that. And now they have the skills. So now industries are favoring these skill-based hiring practices, because again, they're able to draw from a bigger pool. So again, that's why it's even more important to make sure that we are getting those post-secondary credentials. Again, even if it's not a college degree, you have some type of credential that shows that you have the skill set. And then on top of that, you may be saying, I keep saying skills, skills, skills. Well, what kind of skills? So they do a study every year, or a survey, I'm sorry, at the World Economic Forum. And they do this survey of the top skills, needed to be successful. And, of those skills, again, you're looking at analytical thinking, creative thinking, tech literacy, which I feel like this generation probably won't have much of a problem with. But again, it's those, leadership and active listening. It's those soft skills that are going to become, very, very important. Okay, so what does this all mean? Well, quite honestly, it means you have two choices. You can not listen to any of this. In the first path will be like this, what you see on the screen. You can have multiple final destinations, dead ends, multiple starting locations, road closed. It's just, honestly, it's a path of chaos, and it's everywhere. It leads to everywhere but nowhere. Or again, we can follow the playbook. We can be informed, and we can have a clear roadmap of success. And really, what that roadmap of success looks like is your freshman year is that foundation year. And again, it's following that playbook to the T. It's, behavior, relationships, involvement, grades, asking for help, and then that time management piece. You do a great job with that your freshman year. You got a great foundation. And then your sophomore year, you build on top of that. It's growth, and you continue to do those great things. And then your junior year, this is where it begins to all start coming together. It's the opportunity year. It's the ideal year where you take your SAT, you take your ACT, or you take your TSI. Those are those where we can determine if you are college ready. And also in your CTE programs, a lot of your CTE programs, you can earn your IBC your junior year, or even or at the latest your senior year. So again, that junior year is going to be very, very important. And then that senior year, you want to be able to look down at the table and say, here are all my options. I have a good GPA. I have an IBC right here. You know, I'm considered college ready. Do I want to take the college route? At the end of the day, you want options. It's not about necessarily having it all figured out. You just want to be able to look down there and say, look at all these options that I have because you followed that playbook. And again, it's that simple, but again, we all understand that it's not that simple. But again, just following that playbook, it can be that simple. All right, now lastly, to close this up, I really want to talk to parents. A lot of this presentation, the playbook is focused on the students doing their part. And then I really want to take a step back and show you the world that they're living in. So that was really towards the parents. But parents, this is our part. Here's what we need to do. And, I have some cool stats up here, and I can show you that 30% more likely to earn A's and B's just because you're involved. Students are 30%, 36% less likely to engage in disruptive behavior because we're involved. And again, all those things are important. And again, we can talk about how to be involved. And, if you're watching this video, you know how to be involved. And at the end of the day, it's really just about being a partner, in our students' lives. Not necessarily making all the decisions. It's about being a partner. And I say that because, I have some homework for you, and I want to just put homework, but I said family activity because it seems less of like, hey, you better do this. And, the reason of this family activity is because every year, and when I say every year, when I am sitting down talking with my seniors, I get, I have a handful of seniors come in and they're either crying, angry, flat out distraught, all the above, because their view or vision for their life doesn't align with their parents. So, for example, I have a kid, he wants to go to a technical school. His parents want him to go to a 4-year college. Or, we sometimes we have family traditions, and, all of our family, we went here, and, but kid wants to go there. Or we even have families where the kid is like, I want to go to college. I'm ready. I want to go see the world. And we have parents who are like, no, I want you to be close to home. So they're torn. And this activity is designed so we don't have those emotions and feelings. And most of the time, what is terrible about these situations is the parents have no idea. But the students are bearing all of this emotional weight because, again, they don't they, it's hard for them to voice this to their parents because, again, they don't want to disappoint us, right? So this activity is real simple. There's a student section and a parent section. On the student section, my challenge to you, freshmen, even if you're not a freshman at this point, a freshman, is to be honest. And if you don't know, you don't know. This is not about having it figured out. This is not, you don't have to say, I know I want to go to a 4-year university and this is my major and this is what I want to do for my career. That's not what this is about. This is just about getting you to think about what you think may be ideal for you. And if you don't know, you say that. If you don't know what career that you may want to do, you don't know. And again, that's fine. For parents, same thing. It's going to have some of the same questions. And what I want you to do is I want you, parent, you fill out your section, student, you fill out your section. And then once you're finished, I want you to share that. But when you share it, I don't want you to discuss. You just share it. You go on about your separate ways. And then the next day or a couple of days later, after you have digested what you said, or what you read, And then I want you to sit down as a family. I want you to discuss. And again, parents, your challenge is to listen, ask questions, really find out, the why. Students, again, your challenge is to be open and honest. Remember, we're not making any decisions here. We are simply being open and honest and starting a conversation, because it's not about having it figured out. It's about starting a conversation, because I've always felt it's easier for me to support the decision that my son makes than him support a decision that I've made for him. Our job is to, again, parents, we're going to make sure we're going to inform. We have some parent wisdom too. We can ask those questions. We can challenge some of their thinking. That's our role. And then again, students, your job too is to really start figuring out what it is that you like. But guess what? That's what high school does. It gives you that time. But you might be saying, well, why do I need to do that right now? You need to do that right now because, again, things change, times change. Being on the same page goes a long way. And again, if there was a why behind this entire presentation, it's because of those conversations that I have with my seniors at the end, when they should be celebrating and having the time of their life. They are in my office upset and crying because the decision they want to make for themselves doesn't align to their parents. And I really don't want that for any family, because again, when you've followed that playbook to the T, you've done everything that your parents have asked, you're involved, you have a great reputation, and then at the end, when you have all these options, we can't even enjoy that because we don't want to disappoint our parents based on the decision, or the parents are even mad too because they didn't make the decision that they thought the kid was going to make. It should not be like that. So this activity is a starter conversation. How are we going to make sure that when we graduate, we're all on the same page and we can actually enjoy and look forward to our life after high school? But again, that's it for me. If you made it this far, shout out to you. I'm super excited. I tried to keep this as short as possible. But again, freshman success means a lot to me. Again, I think this, if you have a great freshman year, it just goes a long way. But anyway, like, subscribe, more videos on the way. And again, you guys have a great morning, evening, whatever it may be. And I will see you again.